Well, how do that, Chums, as I, Captain of the Steves, and today, Chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I have some No Man's Sky sort of news. Well, it's not really news, it's a Captain Steve sort of overview of the year 2021. What the fudge is going on in my head right now? Get out of the way, Wiki Droid, I'm trying to do a video. My days, freaking mind-blowing stuff, you just can't get the staff, can you? Anyway, let's head on over to the scribble pad and let's fire on up the review. Over to real Captain Steve in the viewerverse. Execute the Mondo! Well there, Chums, we've had quite a busy 2021. When you look at all of the archive of the news over on the actual No Man's Sky website, you can see that they've brought patches and updates throughout the year, including expeditions revisited over this Christmas festive period. Heck yes, nice one, hello games, and lots of new expeditions. The Emergence brought in some awesome worm creatures for us to go and battle on some gnarly sort of drops, including our own worm pet. You can see that there's tons and tons of patches that came to us as well. And we had the cartographer's sort of mission. Yes, that was quite a lovely little expedition. Heck yes, it was. Yes. The cartographer's expedition gave us a monstrosity as a pet and a station override that we can't quite use yet, but we get to that later, yes. And we've also had settlements as an update. Settlements gives us procedural sorts of settlements that we can be the overseer of, which is pretty darn sweet. We had sort of a 5-year anniversary spotlight, which heavily featured the bite beats and those that used the bite beats, which was great. We had the Prisms update, that now when it rains you actually see all your suit go all shiny and stuff, and there's all reflective surfaces in the stations. We had the Beachhead Expedition, which was a lovely little crossover that brought us the Normandy, which is a brilliant frigate, to be fair. It never fails. Pretty darn sweet. Yes, we were sort of tempted with like a golden sort of freighter image, and then it swapped to the Normandy. Yeah, and were we robbed out of a golden freighter? I do like the Normandy. But yes, there's quite a lot going on when it comes to patches and updates and fixes to the actual verse. And we also had the Expeditions updates, which brought us Pioneers. And Pioneers probably gave us the best sort of drops to date when it comes to sort of, rewards, including a golden vector and a lovely backpack. 2021 kicked off with the Companions update, which lets you tame fauna out there in the spatial verse and have them as pets and companions on your journeys. Yes, it did. Now yes, when you look at all of those updates stacked against each other and what they brought into the verse, you're like, 2021 was pretty damn freaking awesome, wasn't it, Captain Steve? Well, it wasn't to some degree. I kind of preferred Origins. I think Origins was a better update than the whole of 2021 combined, and here are my reasons as to why I feel that is. Here we go, hold on to your seats. So, starting with the Companions update, we now have 6 pet slots where we can keep pets that we find in the verse, but we've also been gifted a couple of pets, including the giant worm and also the monstrosity that I've named Angry Kitten. Yeah, so they take up 2 of your slots, meaning you've only got 4 remaining for the creatures. I kind of feel that we could do with maybe 9, especially if they carry on gifting us creatures as rewards. It's going to get rather chock-a-block. Now, you can actually beef up these sort of creatures by using some neural stimulants to make the stats how you want them to be. However, what I would say is their behaviours down on the planet's surface don't overly change to the point it almost makes it redundant in upgrading your creatures. Yeah, so here we go, let's summon out one of my creatures. I'll just call Trico in. Hello there, Trico. Probably perhaps the most useless creature in the whole of the verse. He does fudge all. In the side of the patch notes it says that they should destroy hazardous flora. Do they? No, they frickin' don't. Do they help you with sentinels? No. Well, sometimes they do by complete sheer accident if they accidentally target one. Anyhow, here is the egg machine where you can make the magic happen and up your stats of your creature and make nothing happen. There's some lovely text here that says why not give your pet some new genes or something along those lines, which you think, great, gene splicing, that'll be freaking epic. And there's actually a slot for exactly that, gene splicing. Does it do much? No, it may give you maybe 2 to 3 variants of your actual creature. If you try putting in one of the worm creatures or your little monstrosity creature, no variants whatsoever. Well, the worm, you get 1 variant, but the monstrosity, none. And yes, you've also got the ability to change the colour of the creatures. That works quite well. The growth hormones, yes, you can make them bigger or smaller. That works okay. So the coloration and also the growth works great, but the gene splitting does very little. And also the neural calibration. Although you see the numbers change, does the actual creature's behaviour change? Not overly. No, not really. So it would be nice to see them actually do something around those actual stats that is noticeably different. I mean, I just find that my creature gets in the way, more so than actually does anything helpful. Okay, and then we had expeditions drop into the verse, people, where you can get yourself some gnarly rewards like this lovely backpack and also the Golden Vector ship, and both of those were inside of Pioneers. Currently, we can revisit all of the expeditions to date, which is a lucky thing, because pretty much every single expedition that we've had have had progress blockers or bugs to the point that people gave up on some of the expeditions, so it's nice to be able to rerun them pretty much bug-free, and I must say, rerunning them in the Revisited, I've had hardly any bugs whatsoever, and it's been a fantastic experience. But it would have been nice to have had that experience first time around. Hello Games, yes, it would have done. But yes, even still though, I'm thoroughly enjoying Expeditions. Expeditions is brilliant. I love this game mode, and any new player picking it up, it's a great way for them to get into the verse and catching up with some of the longer standing members of the community. So I'm very thankful, Hello Games, for Expeditions. It's a great idea. I just wish you tie more lore into it like you did with Emergence in future ones. We then had Prisms, and Prisms gave us all these sort of nice explosion effects and weather effects. When it rains, you go glistening now. I mean, look at the textures inside of the station. It looks freaking sublime with these reflections. It's kind of almost like it's got ray tracing, but not. You've done some clever stuff, Hello Games, I must say. You've also given some sort of tease, this is going back a good like 6-7 months now, of the station override. And inside of Expedition 3, you actually gifted us with a station override, which we can transfer over into our other saves to take ownership of the station, maybe? We don't know, because you know what? They don't work. Then, Hello Games, you dropped in Frontiers, and Frontiers brought us Settlement Overseer Ownership, which is pretty darn sweet, and it comes in with Sentinel sort of interactions like this, where they can't actually do any damage to your town or anything like that, so there's no real bonus in blowing them up. Yeah, there's some odd things that go on inside of settlements, and killing the sentinels with my incinerator here. Now, the incinerator came into the verse by accident, probably about a year and a half ago now, and I'm wondering whether that was to probably be part of a larger sort of combat update. Considering that all the incinerator has been haptic feedbacked for, I did kind of expect something combat related in 2021. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for 2022 that it may become a legit thing. So the settlements you can see here, the rank sort of goes a little bit squiffy. Sometimes that goes to an S class. It was an S class before the Sentinel battle, and as soon as the Sentinel battle is instigated, it drops to a B class almost immediately. So the ranking of the actual settlements seems to be a little bit foobarred, and has been foobarred since day dot, unless it's by design, but I don't see why it would bounce from S class to B class on a Sentinel interaction. My Sentinel interaction is now back down to 0. When that hits about 60, it jumps back to being an S class, and as soon as it gets to 100 and I instigate the Sentinels, it drops back to a B. It bounces about, but I must say, the actual settlements themselves, and the way that they've been procedurally generated, is procedurally frickin' awesome, Hello Games. You've done that frickin' great. And all of these base parts are awesome. You can actually build sort of structures like this with the new base part range, and I love the base part range. I wasn't overly keen on the snapping points of all the adornments and things like that. You're slowly putting patches together to fix all of that stuff that wasn't broken before, and it's slowly getting fixed. I say slowly getting fixed because it's still not quite right, and we still can't rotate parts like we did, and we haven't got as much control over things unless you use wire glitching building techniques. So it's almost like the building community now has to build using wire glitching techniques, otherwise you can't achieve what you could prior to the actual building update, which is a little bit squiffy, unless it's by design. We don't know whether this stuff is by design and done purposely, or whether it's a bug. That's the problem. Do we report it, or do we live with it? And we're finding that so often with so much of this. It's like I've just hit up a building opportunity. Where is this building opportunity? There's no freaking icon. I can't find an icon. Even though I've got the mission selected, I'm flying up into the frickin' air to see if I can spot it with my beady little eyes in a town full of frickin' buildings. It's not all that easy to find what you need to do and when you need to do it. Yeah, so here we go. I'm running over to this now. I'd hit up the actual log so you can see I've got the right mission selected. Because a lot of people say, just select the mission, Steve, and the icon pops up. It frickin' don't, people. So I'm having to put down a beacon whenever I've got myself a building opportunity and I'm building something and hit it up. Is it by design? Is it a bug? Do I report it? Do I live with it? Don't know. And it seems to be the whole whole thing with the settlement seems to be that way inclined, and a lot of these buildings I've never been in because they serve no purpose. You don't know even who lives there as a resident because they all sort of interchange houses. You don't care about your residents. You lose one in some sort of thing. It doesn't tell you who got lost, how they got lost, how they died, or what effect it had on your town. They're just numbers, and it doesn't feel like you're a caring overseer at all, because there's no sort of relationship building. It'd be nice if you actually had to recruit your actual NPCs, and you actually cared about them and assigned them to a building or something. And it'd be nice if some of those buildings had more rhyme or reason. Maybe have a mini archive where you can go and review all of the sort of lore that you've gathered during the actual game or something. Anything like that would be better than the buildings that we've got now that just make your settlement feel a little empty. And I have to say, every single update this year should have had a lot more depth, but they've been rather shallow. It almost feels like you've stapled in a load of foundations this year, Hello Games, and then not really put much substance on top of that foundation. I'm really hoping that you come back and build these out and make them a little bit more prolific and a little bit deeper in depth. Now, in the recent patch notes, it said that you had fixed this guy. You go to the market, and if you approach them from behind and talk to them, you're not supposed to get stuck. Yet we still get stuck. So a lot of the things that have been in the patch notes you said are fixed haven't been fixed either. So there needs to be a lot more polish in this year's updates, because at the moment it feels a bit bitty. Anyway, back to Captain Steve inside of Gang. So there we go, people. That's 2021. 2021 brought us quite a lot to see and do inside of the No Man's Sky verse, which was pretty freaking epic, but it does feel like it needs a little bit more work because it feels like it's just lacking that little bit of polish. Anyway, I made a wish list for 2021. Have a little look-see at that. See if any of these things, my wish list of 2021, came into 2021. Spoiler alert, they freaking didn't. Anyway, until next time, people, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on 2021 in the comments. Till next time, goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe. And I'd like to say a massive, great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers. And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.